Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Elizabeth Leslie from the League of Women Voters of California. And also joining us, of course, today is the amazing Amaris LeBron. And I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping at the beginning of our call here. The call will last about an hour, and we do ask that you put okay, my audio doesn't seem to be working. I'm not sure what's going on here. I will keep talking. My speaker says it's picking up, but I'm not sure. Maybe Amaris just can't hear me. But I'm going to go ahead and ask that you put your questions in chat, and then we will make sure that all your questions are answered. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Amaris.
Everybody, as we all kind of get settled in right now, we'll wait another minute or so to let a couple more people come to attend, and we'll check back with you in just a bit.
I am just testing sound. Amaris, can you hear me?
All right, well, welcome everybody to our first session of the Milo office hours. We're going to be kicking off our hour just with introductions. I am Amaris LeBron, the usual support person that you connect with when you call our office. We also have Elizabeth Leslie, our communications manager, on the line joining us. She will be helping out with coordinating the questions that come in through chat, and we'll also be taking your questions live if you're able to check in with your microphone. But I think we can go ahead and kick it off probably with the questions that we already have in the questions panel. Please do make use of the hand raising, the questions chat. Either one of those will be helpful in getting your questions to us. And again, we'll unmute anybody as we go through to get more of your questions in here.
And Amaris, I'm doing another sound check. Are you able to hear me now?
First, when working on weekends, I sometimes run into problems and wonder if you are doing system upgrades. Am I missing some announcements of when the system is down? First off, if you are subscribed to the Google group, that would be the first way to ensure that you're receiving any messages that would be vital as far as upgrades or downtime. If you are having these intermittent downtimes, it may be due to, and I'm sorry, let's make sure you're able to see my screen before I dive in here. Let's see if I can unmute. Okay. And I'm just going to take a pause for the audio and video, making sure that you're able to see my screen. I also see that there was a comment that attendees may be able to hear Elizabeth, but I am not able to. I'm going to take
Can you hear me now, Amaris?
Make sure all that is running properly. If anybody can also comment about Okay, I see a comment about I cannot see anyone. We won't be seeing anybody's video. Thank you, Janet, for that comment. Does anybody see my screen? Right now I have Milo office hours on my screen. It has some graphics, text about the webinar. Okay, perfect. Allison is confirming that that can be seen. Can you see anything aside from that? I also, aside from the Milo graphics, do you see the MyLO Support Google group? Okay. Let me make sure that my screen is presenting exactly what I want it to. There we go. Thank you, everybody, for helping us out with that. Okay. All right, so now you should be able to see the MyLO Support Google group. Awesome. All right. So perfect. We try to, as you join Milo, we try to add you to this group. Either if you have a Gmail, you'll be added with online access, or with any email address, you would be subscribed to receive those emails. So through that subscription, you'd receive any update. But if you're having intermittent trouble, there's a chance that it could be a number of things. Most of the time, we will be announcing anytime there's work being done. So if these are happening most of the time without an announcement from our end, it could be your internet service, it could be possibly caching. You may try a different browser, but we will be making announcements if it is something coming from us. And what I'll just do is delete the questions as we go through, at least through the questions bar. And again, I have noticed some of the answers given in the Milo Google groups have links that no longer work. With that question, I'm assuming it goes with the next from Liz Quigg. What is the best way to find a node number when trying to link to content within the same website? There's a couple of ways that you can do this. Just for this example, I'll be masquerading as Liz. I won't make any changes to your site, but just so that we can see this as a webmaster would, rather than seeing it through my admin screen. And you don't have to worry about masquerade as a webmaster. So let's say I'm going to add a node number. Before I make a change to the page, I have a chance of seeing what it is by hovering over or right-clicking the New Draft or Edit Draft button. If you can see in the bottom left corner, or if I copy that and throw this into a notepad, then I get the node number for that specific content item. The other way of finding a node number is by going through, and once you're at the point of editing, and no matter where you're editing from, as long as you can access the link to content button, then this brings up the find content list here. You can search by the title, and I wouldn't know what to search for, or you can select from the list. There is also, if you zoom out your screen, and I'm using Windows, so that's Control-Z and the minus sign. If you zoom out, you have a pager here down at the bottom that allows you to jump through the pages. And this list is in alphabetical order. So this is probably the easiest way, because you're allowed to search up here for find content. only once. Being able to zoom out your screen and use the pager will give you full range of your node IDs. And those node IDs are the kind of nickname of the page. And let me go ahead and unmute Liz, make sure that that was aimed at your questions. And I think you may be self-muted. If you wanted to follow up on that, you can unmute yourself and chime in. If not, I'll go ahead and be jumping on to the next question. And, okay, but either way, I see you might be having some connection problems, but chime into the questions. We'll catch up to you again. All right, so Allison Phillips has a question about, I want to add advocacy to the call left side of front page. How do I do that? Okay. While I am switching over to Allison's, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Allison. If you're able to elaborate on your question. There we go. I think
Hi,
you
Amaris.
are unmuted.
Okay. So it's on the front page, on the home page, I'm sorry. And then I just want to add one of those columns on the left. I have League of Women Voters Home, and then it has about, you know, all these starred columns. So I do want to add advocacy at the very bottom, or even at the very top, you know, right after about.
Okay, definitely. There's, again, with that one, there's a couple of ways to do it too. If you are starting out with content first, like if you have the page created already, then that will...
There it is, right there. Is that what that's what we call the calls?
These are the menu links.
Oh, they're menu links. Okay, I thought it was called menu links.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to do that. I'll go ahead and unmute you, and well, before I jump in, I'm sorry, and I apologize, I was having audio issues myself, and now I'm hearing everybody perfectly. But I didn't catch the beginning of, again, what was the page that you were trying to add to the menu?
I just, wait, are you talking to me,
Yes.
Allison? I just wanted to say advocacy, probably under maybe voting and elections, like a third one. After about, yeah.
You have another kind of main menu link there.
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Allison. So let's go ahead and get to your menu. Just first to see if you already have an existing menu link, then all it's going to take is rearranging. But if you're working with a page that you needed to create fresh, or you already created but haven't added to the menu, then that would be a separate process. And I probably could have left you unmuted there, Allison. Is it action and advocacy that you would like to move out to a main menu item, or is it something else?
Yes, let's do, yeah.
Action and advocacy? Okay, awesome. So just again, we got to this page. I'm going to jump back by going through the Administer League Site menu and clicking on Manage Menu. And a shortcut way is to hover over your menu, and in the right-hand corner of it, you'll have a cog appear. Let me zoom back in to full screen. The cog appears and lists links. Yeah, that's another option for you to be able to jump to that same screen. So list links or manage menu gets you to the same destination. And because, again, it's an existing menu link, all we have to do is drag to reorder these. These hand or draggy bars, or whatever you would call them, those little arrows They'll come up when you're using Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge. The only time we've heard issue of this is usually with Firefox. You may have trouble with these appearing.
Okay, what about Safari? Is Safari okay?
Yeah, we haven't heard issue about that one. So
Okay.
yeah, you should be fine. And just by rearranging that, the rearranged one gets highlighted yellow and gets that little star because it's warning us it hasn't been saved yet. So click down at the bottom and you'll get spit back out to your wherever you started. Because you started on the home page.
Looks great.
Awesome. So thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, let me jump to your next question I have here. How do I, whoops, there we go. How do I add an old issue of the voter to the website? Awesome question. So you'll first need to have it on the device that you're working on, like the PDF, if that's in the form it is, I'm assuming.
Okay.
If you're, and I'm sorry, is it a PDF that you're working with?
You know what? I don't have a copy with me. I don't know if Janet's on this call, but maybe Janet has a copy.
Okay, I just wanted to know the format. It's fine.
Right.
I believe
I think it's a PDF. Yeah.
Okay, so you can upload it directly to the place that you want it to display on. So because you already have a newsletters page, it makes sense to go directly there and work with the existing draft that we have. So jumping into edit draft.
Okay.
We'll get down to the body, and if that is the next one in the list, wherever you want it to go, you type in your text first, format it how you want to, and then at the end you can add the file or the link, upload that file. I'm just going to use filler text for now, so that we get the idea. But using the media browser button will give you access to upload your file. It will be, I'm not going to go through, well, actually, I think I do have the file. Let's see if I can go through this example here. And I'm sorry, it may be a little bit for me to be able to find this file. Here we go. And here we are. It is the May-June edition. So I find it in my computer. Once I upload that and go next, I can go next again because we want these files to remain in the public server. And because this is a newsletter, I'm going to jump down here to show in the media library. It is one of those that you could probably keep to your to yourself. The only downside here is that you cannot share it between your league, but you always can go back and edit this setting. But we'll
Okay, why would I want to do it only to myself instead of putting a yes display in the media library?
This is if you wanted to prevent it from being used elsewhere. Oh,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it is totally up to you whichever one you'd like to choose. It sounds like you probably prefer it to just be shared.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And whenever you do share anything to the larger media library, especially because this is the default, it's a good rule of thumb to use a naming convention or have a constant that you use, even if it's just your league's acronym or nickname, because it will be easier for you to search for these things in the future. But I have a habit of renaming these file names with regular spaces instead of underscores. It's easier to search that way because we mostly type with spaces, not underscores.
Right.
And then with any file you upload, you do have to specify that you have permission to use it. That's just you saying that you own this or have the rights to it. For file description, it's another one that helps you search for this again, because it's something that only your league is going to use. File description may or may not be as helpful. And then the related issues are kind of the same thing. They boost the search. Adding more criteria means that you'll most likely find it much easier. But it's not required, and the media tags require at least one. So pick the most relevant one or more. And you can save that. That has, by clicking save, that has put it up in the media library and saved it there for the future. And the next page takes us to be able to display it on the page that we're working on. So I can just click submit, and because I had that newsletter text highlighted, that's where the link to that PDF got applied. You can also work with a link that you have applied. If you want to change up the text, you can just type right into it. I just placed my cursor right inside and started typing away. And you can either delete, you can backspace, or just altogether get rid of that in one swoop. Would you like me to save this or replace this line? Or had your league already done that?
No, we haven't done it yet. So let's, yes. Can you replace that one that's up there? That would be great.
So there we go. And I'll go ahead and publish this if you're able, I mean, if you're ready to have this out to the public. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So
you publish,
straight down and publish. Actually, before I publish, I also wanted to show off a couple ways to be able to publish. So let's save that, and we'll check out the, you see that there is a bit extra of linkage here. I'm glad I didn't publish that. So it gives us a chance to be able to jump back in. We'll definitely go over the other ways to be able to publish in just a second. And
wait, when you jump back, how did you get back to this screen before you published it? You just hit
I actually didn't publish. I left it as a draft, and essentially it was just like this, and then I saved, and it spit me back out to the front of the page.
Okay, and then once you publish, can you edit it again?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Your edit and view draft buttons, those will be replaced with a new draft button.
Got it. Okay.
So if this happens where the link gets duplicated, all you have to do is remove that entire link and the space that was there before it. So I'm going to undo that and do it one more time. If we left that space before it, the link invisible to us would still be there. So once we remove that, whoops, I'm going to scroll back down. And again, I'll leave that in draft so that we can check it out and then publish that. Awesome. And just to confirm.
Okay, that looks good.
Right. So, okay, to be able to publish, we will always have this apply button on our draft. So that's one way. And then another way is through the moderate tab. This is where you get to see all the revisions. And again, you have that apply button. So through either one of those, you can quickly publish and or confirm that you have a published revision, no longer have a current draft. And that's all set.
Great, thank you.
Definitely. Thank you for the questions. I am, let me catch back up here. Okay, and then you need to change the font on the front page. How do you do that? With the WYSIWYG, there aren't font customization options. You do have heading options. And let me actually take you over to the documentation. We do have some examples of the formatting. But as far as the different styles of font, this is as much as they vary. The headings vary a bit with the formatting style, but the text or the font itself is not changeable. You can
okay.
switch
So
just between those. Mm-hmm.
okay, in the yellow boxes right there, those aren't changeable either.
No, the yellow box is a formatting style that you get to choose from, and the text within that is formatting or a paragraph formatting, but it doesn't allow for font customization. You would have to incorporate that with HTML.
Correct. Okay, got it. Great. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, Allison. I'm going to go ahead and check in next with, let's see. I have a couple of questions here from Shelley Lewis. I submitted my questions when I signed up. Thank you, Elizabeth. I see that you checked back with her. For your next question, Shelley, on the events page, how can I format so that bullet items appear to the right of the thumbnail image? Is it the size of my thumbnail image or is it a formatting issue? Shelley, if you're able to unmute yourself, I have unmuted you. I'm going to switch over to your screen here. Let me see if I can get in with my other browser. Are you able to unmute yourself, Shelley? Well, while if you're able to, I am.
I figured it out. Thank you.
Yes, hi. I think I have the wrong Shelley here. So you're trying to edit, is it a specific event or the calendar itself?
It's the events that are listed on my calendar page. And so you're looking for Ohio Geauga.
Okay.
Here we are.
Let's jump over to the calendar. Okay. Yes. Oh, so is it this one here?
Well, like the one above, everything is nicely to the right, but it's the one for Mary Jane Trapp where I had some bullet items in the text or the body, and I just can't figure out how to have my bullet items appear to the right and not, one of them to the right and the second and third ones underneath.
Okay. It might require some, testing it out and trial and error. Let's jump into a new draft. Just right off the bat, I'm not entirely sure what it'll need, but we might try centering that text, and I'm just jumping straight down to the body here.
And I was kind of surprised by the stars. I don't even know where those came from.
They do change on the summary page to match with the menu. It goes the
Okay.
same with the home page. I believe the stars, if you use the bullet items, will come up there as well. But because it will require a bit of extra like special formatting, you can use this summary field here. It doesn't have the WYSIWYG toolbar, so one trick you can do is try it out here first.
Okay.
So because I had assumed that center might make a difference, let's try that. So I brought up the summary field because whatever ends up working with within the body, you have the option to use the summary here. So if, let's say that centering worked, I can copy this, plug that in there, and coming back to the rich text, it is the translating of that HTML. I can leave that not centered because the summary is going to take over. So let's test out what that looks like as far as centering it. It will require that we publish the event, as whenever you make a change to the summary or what will show up on the calendar rather than the body of the event, it does require publishing. So
Okay.
is that okay to publish that?
Well, I'm sure you won't leave me in a bad place. So
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Okay, so definitely trial and error. It will probably require different formatting, not just uniform, because it does look like the open to the public line is on the same as the thumbnail. And as like, because of the size of the image, that will tell you how many lines of text will align with the rest above. Does that make sense? Like, because this image here is longer, the
right.
text aligns with it all the way down. So aside from playing around with this text, another option would be uploading a longer version of this image. If you had one, you could add a background or some space above and below. I'm not sure if that is really towards what you want it to look like, but that will be another way to resolve this too.
Okay. So probably easier to mess around with the thumbnail image because I created that in Canva and it's being used on Eventbrite and our Facebook page, but it's not behaving very nicely here.
I see. Yeah, if you want it to be able to line up without having to go through this HTML, because it's not going to be a one size fits all. You would probably have to add some different HTML to each line. Yeah, if it's easy enough to edit that and then replace the image, that is what I would recommend. And you can come into this event and go straight to edit. Once you are editing an image that's associated to a content item, you can replace it from here. And this is replacing the entire file. So if this image, if you're using it elsewhere throughout your site, it's replacing that one too.
Okay. All right. I don't feel great about that because it took me so long to get the image sizes right for the other places where it's being used. So I think I would
Okay.
be inclined to mess around with the body, or I guess the language, to figure out if I can get that to align better.
Yeah, I would say as far as the size it is now, you have one line for it to remain aligned with the text above.
Okay, and that's because it's printing out the date and time. Okay.
Correct. Yeah,
I see.
because those are the two top lines, then you have, just because of the size of the image, you have one line below that.
Okay, so I really do need to change the image size.
Yeah, and because you mentioned you are using it elsewhere, then your best bet will be remove. Once you click remove, you'll get a browse button just like this, and you'll get that process all over again where you can upload the new file and use it instead.
Okay. Any suggestion on the appropriate size?
For these, it's hard to tell, but if you have the image that you have there already, this MJ trap thumbnail, if you have that image still, I would say work off of the pixels, the pixel height that's there, and I would say start off with 150 pixels, at least somewhere around there. I'm not sure how that will translate exactly to the lines that you need, but starting out with 1 to 150.
Okay, I'll mess around with that. It sounds like it's really an issue of the thumbnail size. So, all right, I'll go back and work on that.
And those do, yeah, those do vary. Let me check in here. Let me jump to your next questions while I still have you. On the calendar page, was it the same question? Okay.
I just realized that I had called it the event page when it was actually the calendar page.
Oh, no worries. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Shelley. That was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and jump. Let's see. I'm going to jump back to Liz. Let's see. I'm unmuting you here, and if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, I just wanted to say that with the last answer, if she just added one line before her bullets, that at least she could get them lined up in one way on the left-hand side on the home page, so they would be separated. I mean, the tweaking up the image seems a little, I mean, I know what you're telling her to do, but I think she could just have her bullets all together if she just added another line, and it would push it down underneath the image.
I see. Shelley, I know that, like you said, this won't leave you in a bad spot. We can always come in and change this after, but she's just saying add a space there at the top. I'm going to go ahead and publish this so that we can see what that looks like. But that is one way. Thank you for that, Liz. If you did want them to align, just not all on that same with the ones above. But thank you for that, Liz.
I think that looks better than what she had, and she doesn't have to. I mean, once you start screwing around with images, you have to have an alternate version with the extra junk underneath, and it just seems this looks okay to me, but it's her website, so.
Definitely, yeah, and but I appreciate the input, and Shelley, we can always connect offline about that. Thank you, Liz. You had a question here about, let's see, when one of my editors makes a page, I cannot edit it because she owns it. Is there a way to change ownership? That is a great question, and there is. As far as being able to edit anybody else's, you should be able to edit it. as long as you belong in that league.
As long as I what?
As long as you're a webmaster in that league.
Oh, okay. Because I've
So-
had times when I can't somehow, because my editor owns it. But if you show me how to change ownership, that'd be great.
Definitely. So from your administer league site menu, you can get to manage content. And
So she's Judy Beaver. Maybe there's one you could scroll down to that the author is Judy Beaver.
Judy Beaver. Okay. I need to unlimit my search here so that I can see everything.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
Here's
So
one right.
we have one at the top. All I have to do is check the boxes of each that I want to make an operation on. And under here, I select change author. And simply execute. And you will need to provide your own username or a part of it because you get to choose it. And once it loads, then you're all done. And this also, changing author comes in handy if you needed to clone something. Like, let me open this one up. Because this belongs, I'm masquerading as you, Liz, and this belongs to Judy Beaver, I don't have a clone this item link. But let's do that same thing. We're going to change author, execute. And once that loads, then I'm going to come back to the page that I had opened. And once I refresh, I now have that clone this events link. And while I have you, Liz, let's see. Do you have another question here from me? Why doesn't, oh no, okay, perfect. Those were the suggestions that you had with the bullet points. Awesome.
I was going to say you handled my first question, and where I couldn't find the node number, and I think what I didn't, in order to get to see the bottom when I'm doing these searches with apply, in order to see the full thing, you suggested that you could zoom out, and then you could see that I hadn't thought of. Because I can't scroll it. It doesn't. So if I have, lots and lots of things that the search gives me, I can't get to the bottom of it. But I guess just using the zoom out, I can maybe get to the bottom of it. I don't know why it won't let me scroll it, but it won't.
Yeah, it is unfortunately not a scrollable list, but zooming out has been the most helpful because you have that full list there and you don't have to chase down every page. But yeah, zooming out and using that pager for the link to content will be the best way to go there.
Thank you.
Go ahead and definitely, thank you, Liz. I'm gonna jump over here to Margaret Goodfellow. I'm gonna unmute you. Oh, there we go. You had a question about the Google group. We've tried to join and have been unable to get in. Anytime that this happens, please do reach out to us. It is difficult to know what a non-member is seeing when they click on the MyLO Support Google group link here, because as a group member, we're taken directly there. But sometimes you might just get a blank page and that request of you wanting to join might not get sent to us. So anytime, just make the request to us at milo@lwvc.org. But for you, Margaret, I am making a note here to add you. So I will do that later this afternoon.
Thank you.
Definitely.
What email are you using?
Let me double check what I have for you in my inbox. I have mgoodfell@binghamton.edu. Or do you have a Gmail address that you would prefer?
That is a Gmail address, and that will work. That's at my former employer that I retired from at Binghamton University. It works as long as I know what one you're using.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I will add that one later today.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. Thank you, Margaret. We'll be jumping back here to the questions. Let me check out who's next. I have a question about the recording. We are recording the session, and so hopefully you all will receive an email of the recording once that's all wrapped up. Because you registered, you should receive that automatically. But either way, we will also have it on our GoToWebinar channel. So you'll have access to it one way or another there. And let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I will bring you back on, Margaret. I see you had another question. When entering the text into the event description, is it possible to add the text, or do you need to add HTML or other? Yeah, that's a great question. It's not necessary. And I'm assuming, was that kind of in relation to what we were just going over with Shelley?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, so let's see, I'm going to use Liz's event. We'll not make any changes here, but just so that we can use or look at the summary. The summary box is unformatted, so anything that you would add here is just going to be taken as plain text. So even if you separated these words, because it's plain text, they're just going to appear with a space in between and be on the same line. So it is continuous and would just be in this, appear in this paragraph. That's our default text format. But as far as any formatting that you can apply by typing it in, you would have to use HTML, or leaving it blank is just one continuous paragraph. Thank you for that one, Margaret. I think before, let's see, I can probably open it up to some additional questions. I see Kathy Seltzer is one more on the list before we open it up to unmute additional people here. Kathy Seltzer, let me unmute you. Can you put in the copy, then match the picture to get all the bullets in one line? Oh, okay. This was to help out Shelley. Okay, I think this might have been resolved with our bullet points, but while I have you, Kathy, did you have any specific questions that you needed some help with?
Too many for this session.
Okay, well then we can check back at a later time, but I'll go ahead and start going down the line. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Lynette, I see your hand is raised here. If you can unmute yourself, we can dive into the questions that you have.
Oh, okay. The question I had was, you mentioned the zoom out and you said control something. What was the something?
Oh yeah, for Windows users, it's Control Z as in zebra and the minus sign. And if you want to zoom back in, it's Control Z and the plus sign.
Okay, all right.
And if you're a Mac user, what I usually do, I don't know if they have it for how to screenshot I think it's howtoscreenshot.org is usually a website I go to find those instructions for Windows versus Mac. How to zoom might have the same. No, I would, you know, if you're a Mac user, I would suggest a quick search online of, you know, how to zoom in and out for Mac. But for Windows users, Control Z and the plus or minus sign will toggle you between that.
Okay, thank you. I had another question about the photo size to follow up on the question that somebody else asked. When I was loading a file from the media library into the slideshow, it was completely the wrong size. So how do you know what to resize it to before it loads into where you want to go? So, I mean, I don't know how to measure the photograph and crop it to where it would fit perfectly in the slideshow or onto the events or anywhere else.
Yeah, for at least for the images that take up the space up at the top of your page, these are the main images, alternate hero images, and slideshow images. Let me masquerade once again so that that screen will be the same. But we have a default size of 800 by 400 pixels. 400 pixels is the height that's best for slideshow items, but for main images or alternate hero images, the height is up to you, because you can have a banner so that it's not as tall, but the width should still be 800 or more. That is going to give you the best quality size. And if you have the, if you're the one uploading the image, then you can use an image editing program to be able to find out the full size of that image.
And where would I find an image editing program? Do you have a name or something?
Like Paint 3D is one that I use on Windows. Another, I don't know what another equivalent would be, like whatever, if Mac comes built in with something, I'm assuming that that should work. It shouldn't have to be anything, a program that's very complicated, because all you need to see is the, I guess technically the canvas that it's on. And that's the full size of the image. The canvas should tell you the pixel size.
Okay, and so that will get the resolution correct?
It won't get the resolution correct, but it will tell you what the size of the image is. It will let you know if it is a wide enough, or you know, how many pixels it does have. If you do need it to be larger, you may not have many options with the image itself to make it larger. If it's just not working for a slideshow image, you may have to go with something else.
Oh, okay.
But
if I load something from the media library and the resolution looks bad, then I just can't use that particular picture for the slideshow.
Right, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't use it as an inline image and put it into the body here, and use the media browser and plug it in that way, either by uploading it. Well, you've already uploaded it, so you could just put it into the page from here. But yeah, you wouldn't be down and out with that image if it didn't work for a slideshow or a main image or alternate hero image. You could make use of it within any body.
And so when the previous caller put something in a thumbnail, so you gave us the pixels for that. So just size it to that pixel, and that will control the size
of the, I'm sorry, I don't think I quite followed you.
Oh yeah. So if you're creating a thumbnail image, you just use the you just go to the pixel size you gave us. I think you said 100 to 150.
Well, that was specific to Shelley's issue where she wanted to have the image show up a little bit longer or a little bit taller. And so that was just a recommendation of pixels to add as like white space to her image. But for the main image that you would use, or the main image itself, the full size is 800 pixels, but the thumbnail does shrink down. I am sorry, I don't have the exact measurements of the thumbnail, but it is just working in ratio to the full size image.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, Lynette. I'm going to jump to, I think I saw Beverly Zorn with her hand up. Beverly, are you able to unmute yourself? Oh, and I see two different attendees here for Beverly. So if you're having any trouble unmuting the one that I've tried, I'll unmute the other. Okay, let's see. All right.
Hi.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yeah, my one, I was on the iPad and it died on me, so I had to get to the other side. Yes, I had a question about, and it's about analytics. We have in our site links that go out to PA voting, and we wanted to track and see how many people use those links. I know in reading the Google Analytics stuff, they call these events, but I don't know how to put that into the Milo. I have the analytics running as is instructed for the thing, and I can go in, I can see the acquisitions, I can see the page views, all that kind of stuff, but you can't go down to that. Is there a way of doing that in Milo?
Okay, well, within Milo, no, but as far as the Google Analytics connection that you have, if you've made that between your Milo site and Google Analytics, then Elizabeth, you might be able to speak to this if she would be able to look through the clicks that are going outside of their site but are originating on their site. Do you know if that's possible?
It is. Can you guys hear me at all? Can someone speak up if you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry, Amaris couldn't before. I wasn't sure if folks could hear me. I think what would work best is if you would just email me directly, because you have the Google Analytics code on your site specifically. Is that correct?
Yes. Just
Okay.
the way that your instructions said to do it, I put it on.
Fantastic. Well, to be frank, I'm not sure the difference between what I see and what you see, but what I'd like to do is if you can email me the specifics about the pages that you're trying to figure out, I have access to pretty deep dive into analytics for every part of Milo. The challenge and why I can't give that access to everyone is then you'd have access to everything under the League of Women Voters domain. So that's why we have this sort of one-off, if you will, analytics code for your own site. But I'm happy to try to drill down deeper for you and get you the data that you need. And perhaps this reports that I run, then you'll see what it is there, and you can try to do that on your own and find it through your own analytics. So please email me. My email address is my first initial last name. So it's ELESLIE at lwvc.org, and I'm happy to provide that report for you.
Okay. I mean, we haven't gotten to that. We're just getting started with some of this stuff, but you know, the board has asked to be able to see this information.
Absolutely. And you know, it really is a testament to whether the different efforts you are making in outreach are working. So what we find is, for example, Texas, they're doing extremely well, and part of that is through their partnerships, and they partner with the newspaper, Texas Educators. So when I run the reports, I can see what's happening and the referrals from those sites. I could see what pages are the most popular. I could see where the acquisition, where people are coming from, the referrals. And it is really important so you can make decisions about what you're doing to push your site.
Right.
And to make sure you're being successful and targeted in what you're doing. So I'm happy to help you with that.
Okay.
And I'm also happy to recommend, and I'll email this to you as well, some webinars that might be helpful for analytics, because analytics is a giant behemoth and it can do so much, but it also is always changing. So there's even some aspects of it that I don't even know because it's always evolving. So again, I'm happy to share that. Please email me and we can go from there and make sure you have the information you need for your board.
Okay, because I have been able to track back the acquisition, you know, and see actually whether they're linking from our social media and various things like that. So I have been able to do that, and I've drilled down into the page views, but then you get lost when it actually comes to these external links, or it seems like.
Yes. And again, I'm happy to help with that. And just for the benefit of everyone else that's listening, all of the efforts to partner and co-link and social media are all amazing. But one of the most important things is Google. You know, 85% of the traffic that goes to all of our Milo sites is just from Google. That means people dropping terms into their, like, voting, Texas, boom, up comes the information. So it is important that you use the tagging system and the words and fill out all the information when you're in your Milo site, because it will help people get to your information more quickly.
Okay.
So I look forward to hearing from you. I'm happy to help. If anybody else has a request like that or has not added analytics, I can run reports for you so that you can either get a baseline of where you're at now, and then of course see where you are after the election. Also, there are some grantors that actually want, you know, numeric metrics, like how many people visited your site in the 30 days prior to the election. For us at the State League in California, that's very important. So I'm happy to provide support for that as well.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
I'm taking it back to you, Amaris. It is almost time to wrap, though. We are at 1:02, and Amaris and I do have another meeting after this one. But I will leave that up to you, Amaris, to see where you want to finish up.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you to all of you for attending. You've made it a good and lively session where we, you know, I feel like we used every minute of this to really dive in. So please do catch up with us in email if you have any additional questions, milo@lwvc.org. But we're hoping to keep these going weekly, so keep an eye out for the next edition of this. Hopefully it will be a Zoom meeting so that it won't be as formal as this session was. But have a good day, everybody, and you should receive the email of the recording shortly. All right, thank you.